Excellent. Blue shift.
Not to be confused with what happens when you eat too many blueberries. It is indeed blue shift.
I've made that mistake before. It's so embarrassing.
Alrighty, so we'll get everyone into this lobby. I mean, we'll see. Like I said, Haas lost that last game. Maybe it's time he brings out the dirty, dirty cannon rush.
You might switch it up a little bit, but I don't know.
Who knows? Maybe it's time for some aggression. I mean, that's the weird thing. I mean, I bet Haas is not a fan of this current TVP meta, because with all the Terrans proxying, he's like, I'm supposed to be the one proxying. Come on, guys. They got to earn a living somehow. You can't take this away from me.
You're taking my livelihood. Exactly. And the Reaper grenades were consistently pretty good, too. There were times Stalkers were chasing down Cyclones or chasing down Reapers, and the Reaper grenade was placed just perfectly to knock it back.
Yeah, that is Keen's control for sure. If Keen keeps playing this solid, I wouldn't be surprised if we make him see something like in Round of 8 in Code S. Or did he actually make Round of 8 in Code S? I think he might have.
I'm trying to remember.
I think he did, but then he got bopped by someone like Zest, maybe. Don't quote me on that.
So let's see. 2018 Season 3?
Yes. I could be mistaken.
Round of 8 was Maru, Gumio, Zest, Stats, Neeb, Rogue, Leenock, and TY.
Okay, yep. No Keen.
No All right. That's okay.
Okay, here we are, though. It's a best of 5. This guy currently 2-1 in the lead. Revolution's Keen.
And in the bottom left, the blue, a Protoss player from Taiwan, J-Teams, has.
Alrighty. So we'll see exactly what Keen's going to bring out here. Moving out with an SCV once again. Maybe going to be for that hidden barracks. And Haas moving out with a probe as well. So, yeah, I mean, the mind games are real in this.
Yeah, both players have some shenanigans on their minds, and check that action out. Proxy barracks here. Well, about the same distance between his base and Haz's base, so go figure on that one. Probably going to be a Reaper.
Look at this. Look at this, too. Keen is building it just right next to the watchtower. If Haas had sent his probe to that watchtower, I mean, he would have seen it, but it's just like, no one would ever build their barracks next to a watchtower. It's pointless. It
looks like he's just checking the bare minimum of a distance where if there's a barracks within this area, I'll be in trouble. But anything outside that, I don't care.
Yeah.
So Keen's going to test that for sure.
Double gas, just so common in TVP these days.
Really is. This opening the one racks expand, especially against Haz, seems a little bit too risky, I think.
Yeah, perhaps that's just a stylistic thing. Keen's like, I don't want to deal with this. I'll just cheese you instead. Oh, he actually shuts down the depot there for a second. Nothing major, but
tiny bit.
Pain.
I mean, those little tiny things can really make a difference in these games, though, especially when both players are so evenly matched.
For sure.
All right, so Cybernetics core about halfway done here for Haz. Probe still checking around. Whoa, bunker up.
I love this. The amount of times every time a Terran does something like this, I'm like, I love it. And then it never accomplishes much, but it's like it's still cool to do. So we'll see. I mean, there is a Zealot going to be coming out, but I think this bunker will get up. Yeah, the Zealot's just busy intercepting the Reaper, but we'll see. Maybe Keen's going to turn this into more aggression. I mean, we saw last time Haas barely held at his natural with that shield battery and whatnot. This bunker may be heading that off a little bit.
Yeah, the bunker's gone with plenty of time to spare here. The Reaper has a very safe place to go hide, which is kind of nice for him. Although,
Adept out. Yeah, he needs to be careful.
Needs to get past the Adept. Got to get out now. There it is. Didn't even take any shots. What good control once again by Keen. And we got SCV inside the bunker. Another Reaper coming in. This is very interesting. Proxy bunker with Reaper.
Yeah, I'm going to start bruising that.
So, I mean...
Gets a probe popping out. Nicely done.
Down. Yeah, the bunker just completely negates the Adept's ability to really take care of Reapers. That's fantastic. I'm loving this out of Keen.
And there's actually another Reaper coming out. He's going up to 3 Reapers.
Yeah, might as well get 4.
And then a Cyclone just coming across the map. Is Haas just going to lose his Nexus or die to this? Because you need, like, Stalkers to deal with this, I want to say. Maybe a Void Ray would do it, probably.
Void Ray would shut this down pretty hard.
But that's expensive. Haas is going for it, though. I mean, he realizes the threat of this. I mean, now there's a Cyclone out, though.
Yeah, the Cyclone is the deal here. The Cyclone is what really is the DPS on that Nexus,
so
not really
much
the Reapers.
DPS.
Yeah, it's going down a lot faster now. I think has given up on it. He says, fine, take the Nat.
But that's pretty good because Keen now has his own expansion on the way. And Haas has a Stargate, so that's tech up on Keen, but there's only so much you can do with the Stargate. Keen's like, all right, it's either going to be, say, like an attack, BTs, or a Stargate, and I can be prepared for pretty much everything. And there's also still a bunker at your natural. So yeah, this is pretty darn good for Keen. I mean, Haas not in a good situation, and even the scan to see what's going on there.
There's your Void Ray. Goodbye, bunker. Goodbye, Reapers. Reapers do manage to escape with their lives, and the bunker gets salvaged too.
Look at that. Reaper for an adept. Yeah, that's a bit of a slap in the face to the Protoss player. Just being like, oh yeah, I did all this aggression, and I'm getting back my 75 minerals.
And I'm going to kill another probe.
Yep. I mean, Reapers are good versus Protoss. The Oracle may even have to chase them down. We'll see. But yeah, like Reapers, they make quick worker probes.
They sure do. So 2 kills on the one. Oh, the Oracle, though. And all the Reapers pay for coming back around. They could have escaped if they kept running, I think, but got a little bit greedy, coming back in for additional probe kills, maybe trying to catch a probe going for a quick third base, but didn't work out. Cloak Banshee follow-up here. Thank you, Observer Lapentines. And another Void Ray on the way here from Haz. So 2 Void Ray against Terran is a little bit interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Haz has got to get something done, but no detection. This is a Cloak Banshee. And I think Haz may just tap out here. He's got nothing to react to this. I think this is GG, honestly. The Oracle's across the map. It will have energy for Revelation, but there's actually no answer for this Cloak Banshee. I think
it's not even bothering to cloak. There we go.
Haz is a dead nerd. GG.
There it is.
Keen 3-1. We're going to have a TVT finals.
Dang. Fantastic. I'm excited. Way to go, Keen.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that can happen with Haz. I mean, Keen really, though, just intercepted Haas. He's just like, yeah, I'm not worried about you cheesing me. I'll just do proxy cyclones and stuff. And I mean, that's a tough play. Like that bunker getting up, that's a big deal. The fact that, I mean, there wasn't like a probe or something to work on that SCV and deny the bunker, because a bunker is a big deal. So, yeah. Alrighty, so we've got Fantasy around. We just have to track down Cure. So yeah, but we'll be cutting to a short break. Thanks to everyone for tuning on in. It's going to be a TVT. The next map, drumroll please, or the next match, drumroll please, is going to be Cure versus Fantasy. Okay, I mistimed that a little bit, but thank you. Now, so yeah, we'll be getting on into that best of 5 relatively soon. It's going to be a great TVT, and then we'll have another TVT after that. So hope you guys like TVT. Either way, it's going to be an exciting match. We're going to have Keen wants to win another Afrika World. He won one a while back, but he's going to go for it, and we'll go to a short break. Thanks for watching, guys.
Be right back.
Alrighty, guys. I apologize for the downtime there. Seem to be having a bit of a run-in with that in this tournament, but all the matches are being played anyway, so we're going to be having Fantasy versus Cure starting very soon, or I guess Cure versus Fantasy, technically, from the way the bracket's lined up, but the players are doing the vetoes right now, and then we'll be getting into the map order. Not that vetoes particularly matter for a mirror matchup.
Yeah, good point. Really no favorite anything. Well, I guess people could have maps that they like
This is
over
true.
other matches, personal preference, so yeah.
Yeah, if you're someone, I mean, for TBT, I mean, for ZVZ or something, I wouldn't, and I don't know, for something like ZVZ, I don't play Zerg at all, unless I 13-12.
Right.
So, as far as the maps go, I mean, some Terrans do like to mech, and that really does benefit from certain maps, but yeah, first map will be Dreamcatcher.
Excellent.
All right, and we will load on in. So the winner of this upcoming match will face Keen in a TVT.
Excellent. Looks like we have some Cure fans here in chat. Funny or P Funny or something like that. It's very
Cure,
excited
come on,
to see
man.
him play.
Yeah, whenever someone's late, I always try not to be like, oh, it's this player's fault, they're ruining my life, and things like that. But it's like, if they're excessively late, I'll shame them a little bit and be like, we are waiting on a player. That player's name may or may not be X.
Starts with a C and ends with an UR.
But no, yeah, he's here now. We'll get to play some good StarCraft 2, or watch some good StarCraft 2. I don't play good StarCraft 2.
No, neither do I. Those who cannot do commentate, I believe is how that works.
Although, I mean, I guess we can't really say that because Rex and Nice are also commentating. And they can do.
No. Yeah, that just throws that whole theory right in the toilet. Darn it.
All right, we're loading in, guys. It's Dreamcatcher, the first map. Alrighty. And this guy playing for Team Jin Air Green Wings. It's Cure.
And then far away on the other side of the map, we've got the red Terran player. He's currently teamless, but his name is Fantasy.
Alrighty, yeah, it should be an exciting match. I mean, Kier, I mean, he's one of those players. He's one of those guys he's sort of like a double-edged sword when it comes to, I mean, there's like a blunt end and a sharp end. Sometimes he's the sharp end, sometimes he's the dull end. And that kind of does reflect how he plays, because sometimes he's looking incredibly good, like I should win a tournament, or like GSL real good. Then other times he's losing to some players in which it's like, oh, yeah. So Kier can fluctuate a little bit, and that's why I'm saying that this will be a close match versus Fantasy, who is pretty solid since he's come back. I mean, he's been consistent since he came back.
Yes, for sure. He's been winning the games you feel like he should win, which is always a good thing to see. But I mean, yesterday Kier 3-0'd Solar in some really great games. And so I just feel like at this point, he is on the top of his game. That might just be he's feeling very confident versus Zerg, and his TVT isn't as good, but I'd be surprised if that was the case.
This is true. I mean, TVT is a different matchup. And the reason why I say I think it may be close is because I've seen Kier and Fantasy have some relatively close matches in the past. I can't remember what tournament it was, but I do believe I watched them play, and it was a relatively close match. Like Fantasy, he's a guy, when he plays, a lot of the time it does look like it's like, oh, Fantasy lost 3-0 if you just look at the results. But if you look at the actual matches, it's like, oh, Fantasy played some incredibly close matches versus someone. And so that's why it's always fun to watch Fantasy play. So we'll see how this match is going to go.
Yeah, that is the tricky thing, the very, very tricky thing looking about, or just determining, looking at the 1-0, 2-0, 3-0 type stuff is, if it was a close game, because that can really make a difference.
Oh, for sure. Because I mean, I'm sure a pro player would 3-0 any of us, but then 3-0ing another pro player, it looks a lot different. Trust me. So, alrighty, builds here wise, I mean, a little bit of variation.
Yeah, got the Hellion coming out here for Kier. Got a Cyclone on the way from Fantasy. Both players playing pretty defensively at this point. Nobody wants to move out with their Reaper. They're both expecting the other Reaper to come to them, which is always kind of fun in TBT, just kind of staring at each other from across the dance floor saying, who's going to come over and ask me to dance? But everybody's thinking that, and then nobody actually goes.
Yeah, exactly. I've got you roboting a little bit on Discord, so who knows whose end that is going to be on.
I blame Discord.
That's the easiest one to blame. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that fixes itself. Yeah, as far as the builds go, CCs for both players. Tech Lab and Cloak for Kier. Fantasy on the other end, his starport's a little bit later, as he did get the slightly quicker CC, I suppose.
Yeah. Looks a little bit faster. Yeah, should finish maybe 90 seconds of his opponents here.
Okay, but yeah, the main thing is that Kier cut the cycle and didn't go for it, whereas Fantasy did, and that's why Kier has the faster starport in Banshee. He's got that little bit of extra gas.
Yeah, both players now going for that cloak here. Fantasy making that thing happen too with the Banshee. And kind of interesting to see the cloak Banshee make its way back into the meta. I feel like for a while there, Banshees weren't really there, and nobody really bothered getting cloak, and then started seeing it show up more and more. Now it seems like most matchups will have a cloak Banshee at some point if Terran's involved.
Yeah, it's so weird with Cyclones coming out. It's like, oh, Cyclones, they're pretty darn good versus Banshees. I mean, they still require the scan, but they're a good source of AA. And then Ravens in the meta are completely in and out. They're like a cat. They're sometimes in the meta, sometimes in and out the door. Bad analogy anyway. So, but
I follow it. It's
okay. Cool. Yeah, but sometimes like players would make a lot of Ravens in TVT. They'd be common. I mean, the anti-armor missile is very good. In the newest patch, it might not be very good, but that's another bone to pick. But yeah, so I mean, looks like that Fantasy is going to be following it up with a Raven here, whereas Kier, on the other hand, showing no
Banshee showing up at Fantasy's main base.
Okay. He does have another scan.
Yeah, he's picking off. Banshee doing a good job here. Already has 4 kills. Picked up a couple Marines. Any kills you can get here are basically free. SCV down. Marines down too. Cyclone, though, lock-on ability. Goodbye, Banshee.
Nicely done. And now turret's going to be up. Now, Kier did just invest in the one Banshee. Meanwhile, I think the Banshee for Fantasy died. Yeah, it did. And it actually did not get a single kill.
Yeah, so we're looking at, wow, that unit's loss tab a lot bigger, Fantasy's end of things, about 700 resources lost compared to 3 for Cure. So far, so good from the purple Terran player.
Yeah, I mean, things are still pretty darn even, though.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at worker count for sure. Army supply a little bit bigger for Cure here, just because, again, he didn't lose Marines to Banshees on the other side of the map.
Look at this.
Oh, got another Banshee trying to come in. Yep, another Banshee here. Raven spotting and Cyclone. Look at the range on that final shot.
For sure. I mean, now we've got another Raven on the way for Cure, or for Fantasy, pardon me. This is interesting for sure, because, I mean, Ravens, like, they're pretty useful in TVT and Biotank. They're actually just so strong, just based on the fact that, I mean, Marines with no armor die a lot quicker to Marines with armor, and so the anti-armor missiles are very good. Now we'll see. I mean, Cure is also making a 1, so he realizes this as well, but Fantasy doubling down on that.
Yep, third base coming up here as well. Building inside the natural here is Fantasy. Cure is building it on site. That's how confident he feels in his ability to get that thing done without losing it. It is always a bad feeling to have an expansion out there that gets picked off before it completes finishing, but Cure feels like he doesn't have to worry about it. Another Banshee here. How many? Is that just the one? Yeah, that's just the one. The one Banshee of the 2 that he made in this game so far. Got a bunch of tanks, got some Vikings, got some Marines. Pretty standard composition here coming out of Cure.
Yeah, these guys are really focusing on the air battle here between the 2 of them. I mean, sometimes we see Terrans just not bother with too many Vikings. It's like, well, if you make Vikings, if I make 1 or 2 Vikings, I can have the air control. But what if you're making more Vikings? So I'll make more Vikings. And both these guys also made a Raven, so just going for Vikings naturally couples with that. But it looks like Fantasy actually scouts this move out from Cure. And now the question is, whose Vikings are better?
Well, at this point, it looks like Fantasy needs to focus more on dealing with Cure's push than expanding to a third base. He's not lifting off that command center at all. Meanwhile, Cure's third is almost complete back home, and he's mining from it here too. So the economy is definitely going to favor Cure if he keeps this pressure on, and it looks like he's going to be able to be here for at least a couple minutes.
Yeah, no, the Ravens are actually going to be a big deal here when it comes to the anti-air fight. Fantasy will have another Viking popping out, which is massively important.
Interference matrix.
Yeah, now it looks like the main base of Fantasy is taking a few shots here, but he still does have the 2 Ravens. I mean, he can disable every one of these tanks if he so chooses and then charge on in. But the question is, will he have enough? So I'm thinking maybe land the Vikings, disable the Ravens, throw down an auto turret, and go for it. I think that's really what he's got to do, because he loses his factory, and that's a big deal in TVT, not lifting that. Yeah, so...
Well, but lifting it, he had Vikings waiting to shoot it down, too. I'm not sure that it really mattered.
True. Only 2 Vikings, though, but... Yeah, we'll see.
Compared to tank fire. Yeah, Cure decides damage done. No third base from Fantasy. I killed his factory. They're going to pull back just a little bit here. I'm up 124 to 106 supply. Worker count is fairly even, but I'm on 3 base compared to the 2.
And this is a big deal. The factory dead means it's going to be a while before the armory can be rebuilt. So we'll see if this affects the 1-1 for Fantasy. I mean, might not affect it too much if he starts the armory right away.
Yeah, infantry upgrades do take quite a while. I'm not sure that's necessarily going to come into play, but... Definitely a bio transition here from Fantasy. Oh, engagement not ideal for Fantasy. Losing a tank there, getting chased on back. Viking versus Viking. Sky anti-armor on top of everything that Fantasy has. That's going to help immensely. These Vikings getting picked out of the sky. Tank's gone too.
Oh, Fantasy going down, but I mean, Cure just getting on top of this. Looking at the army supply, this is pretty good for Cure just from that initial move out. I mean, Fantasy is not looking bad, but Cure's just looking a little bit more refined this game. So it's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah, he won the battle of the air there. He's trying to knock down these rocks. There's only a Liberator, a handful of Marines, a couple Liberators, I guess, a handful of Marines, and a Viking there. More Liberators setting up. Cure says, aha, you thought I'd come through those rocks. But
and there's no tanks really out for Fantasy. I mean, he's just starting one now. And I mean, no tanks versus 6 tanks is a pretty big difference here. I mean, Liberators getting set up, going to help out versus the Marines, but there's enough Vikings to deal with the Liberators, and I think that's going to be it. Cure takes the first game.
Very nice. In about 10 minutes there, 9 minutes and 45. The armor missile hit all of those Vikings. The air battle went very easily to Cure there. And from that point on, the tanks got killed. And what was it? It was probably about 5 or 6 tanks to no tanks on the side of Fantasy, and that's not going to do very well at all.
Yeah, Fantasy lost his tank production and his tank, so that's a pretty big, pretty bad thing to happen.
Yep, 100%. So going in here to game number 2. of this best of 5. It's going to be more of the Terrans versus the Terrans.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of who goes on to face Keen, I think Keen will put up a good fight versus them, which will be exciting.
And there we go. Getting on in here to the next game. Going to be Blue Shift. Going to be more tanks, more anti-armor missiles, and more Vikings in the sky.
Yeah, all the same. Just a little bit more pushed closer together on this map.
Yeah, exactly. Rush distance a little smaller.
Alrighty, but this guy taking the first map. It's Jin Air Green Wings Kier up in the top right, the purple Terran.
And way in the bottom left, it's going to be the red Terran player teamless. And down 0-1, it's Fantasy.
Okay. I mean, Fantasy, maybe it's time that he tries to put on some aggression or something because, Kier got a bit of damage done with the Banshees, I suppose. He burned the 2 scans, which was nice for him. And then Fantasy's Banshee did nothing on Kier's side of the map. But that's really the only thing. It wasn't critical damage or anything like that. And then Kier eventually just pushed in and Fantasy couldn't deal with it. So. Yeah.
Yep. Losing that factory really hurt even more than I think we thought at the time. So.
Oh yeah. Once the factory was done, that was pretty challenging.
Yeah. Just watching that engagement, man, those tanks just no chance at all. I don't think they killed any of Kier's tanks in that push across the middle, and that was all she wrote. So.
No, yeah, that was such an odd move out. Was it just like a miss rally for Fantasy or what? Because moving out with just your tanks is, I mean, he had like a Marine or 2 in there, but not a lot to support them.
No, definitely not. So both players finish up their barracks. Both players, oh no, just one Reaper here from Cure. Fantasy going directly into a factory and then making Reaper, so it'll be a little bit faster. I mean, order of operations changes doesn't really change the result at all of what we're going to see here into the early and mid game.
Yeah, it really doesn't. Now we'll see. Both these guys going for their supply depot, the anti-Reaper depot, or can Reapers even jump up there? Can they?
Yeah, that's jumpable. That's okay. A 1.
I should know this. I play Terran most of the time.
Yeah, they can hop up there and to the south a little bit. It's not a lot of hop up positions, but they exist.
Yeah, all right. Now, because usually whenever I play, no matter the race I'm playing, and I try and wall, it's just I misplace the depot or whatever, and it's like, well, the Reaper gets in anyway.
That's so sad.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he's got a Marine on the other section the Reaper can come up, so he really wants to make sure that Reaper not going to be able to do anything here, which makes me feel like he's hiding something. I don't know. There's a starport. There's a tech lab. Might just be rushing right for Cloak Banshee.
Yeah, that's certainly possible, and it looks like he will be. The liftoff is the bit of the tell there, and he's also getting the bunker on the low ground, which is real interesting.
Yeah, I guess maybe he wants the Reaper to think there's a base there when really it's just a 1 base play here from Cure. And maybe the Reapers will just go home if they see a bunker and not try to get past and scout on in.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Fantasy did go for double gas as well, so it's not like he rushed into a base and won't have any options to defend against a Cloaked Banshee, but it still could be a little bit surprising here. We'll see. Because Kier is planning on expanding. It's just noticeably later than Fantasy's.
Yeah, significantly later. So Cyclone here with 2 Reapers. There's the bunker, and Fantasy says, all right, I guess I'm going home. He just decides to turn tail and leave when he sees the bunker. He doesn't even know what's in the bunker. That thing could have been empty for all that he knows. But he decided it was time to head on out here anyway. All right, so then Cloak Banshee now on the way from Fantasy. It's way early for a Cure, though. He's going to have a Banshee out very, very soon, and we'll see how Fantasy can handle it.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Fantasy did follow up his Banshee in the last game with a Raven. We'll see if that helps out, but the timing wasn't really there in the last game. And don't think it'll be here this game. So we'll see how many scans is Fantasy going to save. Usually a good Terran will always try and save one. I think whenever I play, I think that I need to save like a scan, and then the next thing you know, all my CCs have 200 energy, and it's like, well, alrighty. But we'll see. Now,
Fair enough.
Cyclone Marines kind of in position, not quite. This SCV is going to be the first sacrifice, it looks like, to this Banshee as it comes on in. Just going out there. Now, here comes in the Cloak Banshee. How's Fantasy going to react?
Oh, well, running
SCVs.
for his life.
Yeah, going down. Oh, this isn't too good for Fantasy right now. I mean, CC's a little bit quicker, but this is pretty big, and I mean, he's just not doing a good job pursuing it, honestly. SCV is just squabbling around like chickens with their heads cut off. This is just 9 damage going down to a Banshee. That's a pretty big deal. Banshee's going to run on out. Kier deactivates the cloak a little bit early there, but...
Banshee's fine. Banshee gets out. So it's 30 to 26 Harvesters. Cure really put some fear. The Banshee on the other side of the map from Fantasy, though, trying to get some work done as well. And not doing too shabby, killing some Marines.
Now he decides to stay at the natural instead of going into the main base, but both are pretty well exposed here. How's Fantasy going to micro this? Oh, he's got to get away from those Marines there. But yeah, also getting that bit of damage done. The worker count's actually even now, which is a big deal. Fantasy, if he controls his Banshee, he may be able to get a few more. Burn another scan would be very nice.
Yeah, it seems like both players very surprised by the Cloak Banshees that showed up in their natural bases here. Banshee trying to come back in. Ooh, does manage to escape just barely.
Oh, look at this for Fantasy. Even if he... Oh, there's the Raven. He wants to get out now. But he's killed off so many Marines of Cure, too.
Final shot. Oh,
I mean,
got him. Fantasy's like, oh, come on.
If we look at the units lost count, we're looking at, I mean, Fantasy had the bit of a worker lead, so I'd say these guys are pretty equal now.
Yeah, it's looking it. I mean, it's, as far as worker count's concerned and army supply, fairly even. Fantasy's floating a little bit more money, which might allow him to make some more units faster depending on his production. But yeah, both players taking their licks, and they're still ticking.
You'll forgive me if I got distracted there for a second. A spider hung right down from my webcam.
No way. That's awesome.
Just a little guy. He's now running across my monitor. Just one of those teeny tiny spiders. We'll see where he ends up now.
He's here for Halloween.
No, thank you.
Pick off there.
Okay, he's gone.
And Cyclone will avenge it. Roar. Too fast, though. Jetpacks are fast.
So I guess Reapers are just kind of like Deadpool with a jetpack, huh?
Yes.
They just
got the guns, got the healing factor. Sounds about right.
Yeah, I never really noticed that. I was just thinking, it's like, I wonder what it's like if what it would be like to be a Reaper and then just to have everything magically healed. I'm just like, wait, that's just like Deadpool.
And it is. Oh, these tanks doing pretty well. Interference Matrix tossed down on Cure's tanks temporarily here, but losing them to the landed Vikings doing bonus damage versus mechanical. What a play from Cure.
Yeah, good
landing
defense
the Vikings,
there.
saving his tanks.
I mean, that's one of the engagements which could have easily gone either way, but now Fantasy, he's on 2 bases, whereas Cure's getting up towards his 3rd base. And Fantasy actually has the later stim, too. Later 3rd base, so he's just a little bit behind now, it looks like, after that failed attack. And here comes in the Banshee for Cure. Oh, 3rd base going to be delayed. That's a big deal. Is there going to be a scan for Fantasy? Oh, if he loses a tank, that's going to be a nice pickoff. I mean, the Vikings just run away isn't exactly striking fear into that Banshee. But
Banshee's going to force a cancel on that 3rd base. Are you kidding?
Yeah, there's no energy. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, and he lost his Raven on that push on the other side of the map.
Yeah, where's the cancel? There's the cancel. Oh, that's so good for Cure.
This Banshee, 12 kills and canceling a base.
Oh, my gosh. Oh, and he's going for another tank. You got to pull SCVs to repair this Fantasy.
Yeah, and now the Marines getting targeted fired here. I'm not sure the Marines are what you want to kill necessarily, but
maybe Cure's actually planning a push. That's why he's going for the Marines here. Oh, and now it's a Viking fight. Who's going to win this? I mean, it looks like that Cure getting a bit of the surprise there, and he's up. And I think he's actually just going to be up 2-0, not just up in the Viking count. As
Vikings taking it out. The tank count is 4-1 right. No, 4-2. Fantasy does have two defensive siege tanks here. But the Viking, it looks like the air does belong to Cure. 5-2 there as well. There's the scan. There's the further detection. Those tanks aren't set in a position to hit anything. There we go. Slowly sieging forward. Making it happen. And is he in range to hit anything if he has the vision? He's being very, very patient with.
Yeah, it does take a while to push in with tanks in a TVT situation like this, but I mean, the Banshee alone is also actually going to help out a ton. Just being able to work away on this, and now it forces a Viking engagement, which, I mean, if you have less Vikings, a fight will never go well for you. Turret helping zone out a little bit, but I mean, there's just no coming back from the Viking count. And Fantasy's locked into his natural versus a 3-base cure. So I mean, what can you do as Fantasy?
Hold the front and drop the other side. I don't know. I honestly feel like he's in such trouble right now. The Vikings just can't do anything for Fantasy whatsoever. There's a tank on the high ground for Fantasy, which is kind of nice, but the tanks are just, again, patiently back here. SCV's repairing the ones.
I mean, Fantasy has +1, but Cure's going to have 1/1 in a second. And yeah, there's really nothing going for Fantasy that says, hey, I can make a play here. There's just no plays. There's just 5 tanks outside his natural. That's it.
I mean, he's got a third base. It's just not doing any work for him right now.
Oh, and there we go. We're going to see a tank fall. Yeah. And yeah, I think Fantasy, this is just a slow, painful death.
Yeah, this is feet first into a wood chipper right now for Fantasy.
Oh, man. I mean, he can try a 1 medivac drop, but I think the damage he needs at this point is more than a 1 medivac drop. Liberator's coming into, okay, this is really going to seal it. This is how you capitalize on air control. I think Fantasy, he's just done so.
Yeah, his tanks are dead. He's trying to pick up and boost out and maybe get a base race going, but his natural's toast. His income's going to plummet, and that's the GG. Cure is up 2-0, and Cure looks nigh unstoppable in this tournament. He's, 5-0 right now?
Yeah, 5-0. Maybe he's looking for a clean sweep. In the quest to invite a player who could beat Solar, we may have created a monster here. Let's see. Third map, pardon me, Lost and Found. And for Fantasy, it could be the last map.
Well, yes, it could. This might be his final stand in this tournament. And it's hard. It is really hard to go down 2-0 to anybody in any kind of competition and feel like you have a really good chance to win that third game, especially if it's not necessarily close.
Yeah.
As I don't know that it has, although that one push that Fantasy made towards Cure's base in the middle of the last game, it looked pretty scary, and Cure was forced to drop the Viking to hold it. So I don't know. Hard to tell how close that was.
If Fantasy stayed back there, it could have gone into a more macro game, but I guess he felt like making a play, and but play never happened. So now we'll see what's Fantasy going to do. Maybe it's time for a proxy or something like that. I mean, Proxy Reaper still can be in the meta.
Definitely.
Always. Eternally.
Forever.
Oh my god, I just realized. If the Cyclone change goes through, Proxy Reaper is going to be even better.
Oh,
because you'll need a tech lab to build them, and Cyclones are usually what you make to deal with Proxy Reaper.
Yeah.
Blizzard, please. I'm begging you. Do not change the Cyclone.
I mean, they're changing it. I don't know if it's worse now necessarily. It is faster. It does have the ability to hit air units by default instead of using the lock-on ability for that.
Yeah, you need the tech lab to build them, though. And so getting a tech lab versus Proxy Reaper isn't exactly going to be something easy to do.
No, good point.
That's extra build time. That's troubles. And then they're also very light, so Reapers will be able to get on top of them. A Hellion would just be better. Oh, come on, nice. Get in the lobby. We are just loading on into the next lobby. Thanks to everyone for tuning into this Aphrica World, by the way.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate all the support.
We are loading in.
Excellent. Game 3 coming your way very, very soon.
Alrighty.
Lost and Found, the map with little random doodads all over the place. Apparently lost stuff.
Okay.
That's the narrative.
Well, this guy on this map found himself a 2-0 lead. It's Jenner Greenwing's Cure.
Quickly becoming a favorite in the top right. He's teamless, and he has his back up against the wall. It is Fantasy.
And Cure's actually the guy who's proxying. He wants that quick 3-0.
All right, Cure. Gonna make it happen. Give the people what they want. More Cure. Maybe not a lot of cure, but as far as game time goes, but definitely a lot of cure as far as getting to the finals.
Yeah, exactly. Then we'll be having at least a best of 7. So we can guarantee, including this match, we have at least 5 more TVTs upcoming. But look at this, Fancy. He's gonna scout it out. Oh man, so smart by Fancy. He saw it. He saw it. Is that SCV gonna go back?
Scout.
Or does Fancy not want to reveal that he scouted it? But no, he sees the 2 barracks down. He's like, hey, what's up?
Hey guys.
Is another SCV coming down? Yeah, 2 more SCVs are coming down. This could honestly just be like game-ending damage for. Well, it's not really damage; it's just scouting a proxy. Now here comes in the 2 more SCVs, so at least one of these barracks will not finish. One of them may, but yeah, one of these is not going to be finishing here.
Yeah, the SCV battles. There's the cancel. Reaper on the way here, but Fantasy is fully aware of what is coming his direction, and he's going to have a Reaper of his own. Yes, a little bit late, but it should be able to defend just fine. Well played by Fantasy.
Yeah, nice little lead he's going to have found himself in by scouting this out. I mean, his Reaper is just a second or 2 behind that. Let's see. Let's take a look at the production. Well, yeah, it's just a hair.
It's about behind. 7 seconds, 7 in-game seconds away.
Okay, alrighty. So yeah, and I mean, all it's going to take is an SCV pull or 2 for Fancy just to make sure that he deals with this. Look at this, 1 SCV coming down in order to allow him to get the first shot off, and that's all it takes. And look at that. There
it is.
Now he's fine. He's building a CC in his main. Maybe we'll see another gas supply depot and then factory going up for himself. I mean, like all proxiers, Kier is building a factory.
Correct. Factory back home, double gas back home as well. Going to do those Cyclones. Another Reaper on the way for both of these players, and still no sign of an expansion from Cure. He's not building a command center inside his main base or in the natural. Perhaps worried about offensive Reapers coming to mess with him.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, this is definitely Cure's roughing it a little bit with. This is not a normal situation for a Terran. Well, not a normal situation a Terran wants to be in. Cure's actually just scouting with his barracks here, just seeing what's going on. He sees that the factory's not super early, so he doesn't have to worry immediately about a Banshee or anything like that. But still, he's going to see that CC timing and be like, oh dear.
That is a little bit concerning.
Yeah, it is. Fancy going for a Hellion as well, just to make sure that he can really win those Reaper on Reaper fights. The Hellion gets right on in there. It's kind of like cheating. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight or a gun to a knife fight.
There you go.
Bring a Hellion to a Reaper fight.
Yeah, that bonus damage versus light, the range they have, the speed they have, it really helps a lot in these battles. That third player has entered the fray is a big deal. Coming on over, Cyclone for Cure. He's going to come up and be the third party, which that might trump.
Yeah, I mean, Fancy may not be able to land his base. I don't think that actually, Cure, look at this. His barracks is going to give him vision with his earlier Cyclone, and Fancy, I mean, he did cut the Cyclone in order to get a quicker starport, and now suddenly he may be losing a supply depot and a reactor, and that's a nice little blow from Cure.
And getting supply blocked as well.
Yeah, that's a big deal, and all just because he kept his barracks around, which is such a smart play. Fancy saved the reactor, which is very nice for him.
Yeah, he is repairing it quite nicely here. What were they attacking? KD8 charge dodged quite nicely by Fantasy's units there. The attack, the other Cyclone shows up now.
And there's still the high ground vision here. Banshee's going to be out soon. Cyclone's going to be out. But this is some nice damage. And I mean, you can't really engage this as Fantasy. It's just Cyclones are just so strong. SCV's going down. 6 SCVs have fallen. And Kier has a CC on the way back behind this. And now, I mean, yeah, this is actually so good. And I mean, 1 Cyclone versus 2. So still not the best for Fantasy here. And this barracks has just been such an MVP for Kier.
Yeah, what a fantastic play by him, bringing the barracks all the way over. Got the damage done, got an expansion done. It's building inside his natural base location. It's almost complete here. Banshee out for Fantasy, does pick off one of the Hellions in
Banshee
revenge.
Is also going to be out for Cure soon, though. So, or it actually is already out for Cure, and it's in the base of Fantasy. I didn't even see this. I knew there was a Banshee on the way, but now Fantasy going to have to scan to deal with this.
There are 2 scans available. He's been saving up his energy. I think he was prepared for this after losing so much stuff in game 2.
Okay, Banshee now in the base of... we'll see. How many is he going to be able to get? I guess he can maybe get 4 or 3, but still. Turret now up for Kier. Turret at each base. Whereas Fantasy, no turrets just yet. I mean, Kier, he had that blunder with just the opening being scouted, but now he's fought his way back into this game. There's no doubt about this. This match, he's killed 13 SCVs to 3. And that's, I mean, in the current meta, a proxy failing, it being scouted is always very unfortunate, but it's not as big of a deal. And Kier's shown that he's working his way back from this. Is Banshee going to get some more damage here from the looks of it? Cyclone going to shoot it away, but...
Oh, look at that. The lock-on actually canceled as the scan wore off.
Oh, look at this. And just 4 more SCVs going down is huge. Fantasy is in a bad situation now.
Yep, 25 to 34 harvesters. Kier is up. He's got his natural base up. Both players are sitting on their naturals, but Marine's getting picked off as well. Banshee does escape with her life, and the first Raven is out for either player with Fantasy. Kier is making one of his own back home, with tank production continuing for the Red Terran player as well.
Okay,
so current
third CC. I like this for Fantasy.
Quick third?
Yeah, it's what you got to do to come back, I think. Because Kier may try and do some aggression, but he's also invested into a lot of Cyclones. So if Fantasy holds off and gets up a third base, that would be very nice for him. And he's got the 2 tanks, so he should be able to do it. But, actually, it's not that much quicker, pardon me. Huh.
Yeah, I did kind of feel that way for a second there, though.
Yeah.
All right, so... Yeah, tank count 2-0 right now. Fantasy has the tanks, and Kier is actually not bothering with tank production. There we go. Maybe now with that tech lab on the 1 factory, but he's going to be down. Although nothing's still coming out of that fact whatsoever here. This is very interesting out of Kier. He's not planning on winning the tank battle in the early game, at least, for sure. Not making that a priority.
Yeah, he is getting up 2 more factories, though, so he is going to be playing mech, and Fantasy sees this, and he's like, oh, no. Mech, playing bio versus mech from a deficit is something very tough to do because the mech player wants to be invulnerable, wants to be strong, and when you have a lead, it's a lot easier to deflect attacks. Because, attacking in StarCraft 2 is hard. There's this thing called the Defender's Advantage, and Fantasy is going to have to overcome that because time isn't on his side now that Kier is committing to mech. And, this is just going to be pretty rough for Fantasy playing the film. Maybe we can find something like a drop later on, but... going to be a little bit worried.